Welcome back, class, for part 2 of our Northern Lights. You can see in the difference between this black sheet of paper that you could have gotten from school, or you can have some at home. So this was my cheaper, duller black paper, and then this is my more expensive, really dark black paper. It's shocking how paper companies make different papers, but this one works incredibly well for cutting, and it's a little bit cleaner and less toothy, so it doesn't take chalk very well, which is what we want. We don't want it to have chalk on here. We want it to have chalk on this piece of paper. So I still have my Northern Light background over here, and what I'm going to do is create a silhouette of a nighttime landscape. So I'm not really, when there's a silhouette, we're only concerned with the outside edges. So drawing in a lot of things with a lot of detail, you can't really see details. Like if I was going to draw on a wolf, you can't see the eyes or the mouth. You're only focused on the outside edges. So I try to keep it really simple when I make mine because you can't see a lot of detail at night. We're going to draw on the back of the piece of paper, and I'm going to use a piece of chalk so you can see my lines. You can use a pencil or any tool that you can see up close, but the chalk is going to be easier for you to see my lines. When I draw, I'm going to make sure that my drawing is on the back side of the paper, and then when I go to flip it over, it's actually going to be opposite on here. So if I want a tall tree on this side of the paper, I actually have to draw it on this side of the paper, because when I flip it over, it's going to go down like that. So because I don't want other people to see like how I drew this so well, and I want my black silhouette to be very clean. I don't want to have white lines all over it. So it's a little artist trick. So I want to have like a hill coming down. I think kind of an irregular ground, and then I can go ahead and build up maybe like a pine tree. I love how pine trees look at night. We see so many of them, and this is my style of drawing a pine tree. I'll have some of it even come off the edge of the paper like that, and I don't think I want a house or anything. Well, I could, I suppose. I could put in a house over on this side of the paper and just make it really simple. And it doesn't matter if you have like those extra details. I could cut out a window if I wanted to turn on some light. If I were to make a rock, I could do something like that. I think I'll just make a small tree just for the demonstration. There we go. So when I go to cut, I want to make sure that I don't accidentally start cutting on my house and then I cut off my chimney. I could glue it back on later for sure if I did that, but even I have this line right over here, so you have to be thoughtful about how you're cutting off your lines. So for sure, we're going to borrow some really like advanced cutting skills here. Remember, as you're cutting, this hand is the hand that's turning the paper, and this hand is the hand that's doing the chomping. And once I start doing this kind of thing, I start going, this is getting tricky. This piece of paper feels really large. This piece of paper feels small. I'm afraid of making a mistake. You know what I do? I actually, because this paper is so heavy and I'm afraid I'm going to rip things off, I just go like this and cut this gigantic piece of paper off. Then I can just work in small snips. Sometimes students don't think that they can, could or should cut all that off. Absolutely you can. You can cut any way that makes it easier for you. So I'm just snipping in here off the edges, and I like that so much better. It's way easier to handle the paper. Once I start cutting out my trunks, that paper is going to get really weak by the trunk, so I want to make sure that I do a good job there and not rip off my tree. However, like I said earlier, that happens a bit in class. So, because students are trying to get their work done and whatever. So you, if you cut it off, you can just glue it back on later. I'm not following my lines perfectly, but I am trying to do a good job to follow them a bit because I did like my drawing. Even though it was a little sketchy, I still like my drawing. And it looks really messy right now, so stick with it. It's not going to be messy when it's done. The other side's going to look incredibly clean. Come down here like this. Cut around, and then for a demonstration purpose, I think I'm just not going to cut out this tree so you don't have to look at it. You can get a feel for what's going to happen here. So I have all this paper pushed off to the side. Bring this down, and I don't want to see this. This is the side that I want to put glue onto. So I want to remember that. I'm just going to check what it looks like. So I think white chalk, glue goes on the white chalk side. When I flip it over and put it down, it's like, boom, that contrast is amazing. I love that. And look at, this isn't not a well-defined tree. Like, this is very well-defined, and that shape looks really interesting. So keeping things blobby is not really a great way to go. So I love that I just double check that. Things look good. What I would do, obviously, is cut out my tree, but I'm not going to do this for the demonstration. What I am going to do is do dot, dot, not a lot, which we've talked about a lot. And I don't want you to put it on anything like this that's floppy, because if you accidentally if you put glue on here and you go like, the wetness is going to ruin the chalk and you can't fix it. So what I mean by that is I like you just to do dot, dot, not a lot on the bottom. 4 is totally fine going across the bottom part like this. Then you can control this paper a little bit better. You're only worried about that glue part on the bottom. Put it down. Get it there so it's not oozing out everywhere. Once you get glue that oozes out on paper like this, it turns shiny and black like that, and it doesn't ever go away. So you can see how you glued, and it looks like an accident. Now, what I can do is put 1 dot on the house, because this is a very light sheet of paper. You don't need a gigantic worm. I can put 1 dot on the tree. Super simple, no stress, put it down. Believe me, I've done this enough to know how to make some mistakes there. And I don't probably even need this. Obviously, I don't want it to look like that anyway, but I don't probably even need to put a dot there if I don't want to. You can if you want to. And then you have the contrast of this beautiful silhouette with the shapes that are well cut out, and then that sky that's all lit up. I love the Northern Lights. I hope you get to see some this summer. Thanks for watching, friends. Bye.